how can we get into sports law? So if somebody today wants to get into sports law, what's your top 3 advice to them?
So it depends on whether you're talking about law students or people who passed out. I think that's the first question that comes to my mind. But I will just talk on a general, larger scale. So a lot of people want to get into sports law, but they don't know what is sports law.
Sure.
So my first advice to them is read, right? Even if you apply to us, you can't just come and say, I'm interested in sports and I'm a lawyer or a law student, and therefore I want sports law. That does not fly. Maybe it was an acceptable explanation when I was doing sports law, which is 2008, 9 or 7, 8. At that point in time, there was no development. But now we have niche law firm. Nandan is one that you've talked about. That is one is us. So I think we have a few law firms which specialize in sports law. So you should read. I think there's enough literature available online, as well as there is books. Again, we've written 2 editions of books as well. There is the World Sports Law Journal. There is Law in Sports. There's again a lot of information available. So first thing is we advise is read and understand what sports law is. Second,
so if I can quickly ask, what I understand is sports law. One is that sports is an industry. So in any industry, there are every kind of law applies. So for example, in the healthcare industry, there will be employment law and everything else.
Excellent question.
So in a way, we have a sports industry which is huge, right? There's billions of dollars invested in it. So there will be every kind of law, starting from contracts to, I guess, even competition law or whatever, everything applies, IP.
Yeah, so I get the point that you're asking. So basically, there are 2 facets of sports law, I would say. Right. So sports law is too big, I would say. Earlier, I thought it was one of the fields, but now it's become too big because there's so many facets in it. So first is the facet what you're talking about, which is the application of general law to the field of sports or the sports industry.
Right.
Now that could be contract law, which remains the primary. It includes broadcasting and rights
IPR.
distribution. It includes IP. It includes employment laws. It includes public procurement laws. And why I say public procurement?
Projects.
Because the national sport federations in India are considered to be performing public functions, right? And in the end, when they are giving out contracts, they are actually giving out aspects or things pertaining to public resources. So mostly it is advised that everybody tenders. And if you see all federations tender, even if they are giving out the right to conduct a league, they generally issue a tender.
Right.
So even public procurement laws are very important on that line. And then most sport disputes are resolved through arbitration and conciliation. So good knowledge about arbitration and conciliation is good. Even competition law is also very important because of a lot of applicability of sports, of competition law into sports. But that is something that you are taught in law schools, and you can harness and even develop that further by attending few conferences and sports specific industry meetings. The second is an aspect which is not taught in law schools.
Right.
And that is very, very sports specific.
Rules of sports.
Correct. Now those are rules and regulation, and they are not like the general rules and regulation. They are very specific rules and regulations. They could be anti-doping, they could be issues pertaining to sports manipulation, which is match fixing, spot fixing, insider information. They're talking about club licensing.
Disciplinary issues.
Club licensing, there are disciplinary issues, whether you've been obeyed the rules and regulation or not, how you violated
Amateur or professional.
Correct. Then there is issues pertaining to player registrations and player transfers. So
there are even disputes between different agencies, different sports agencies and
Correct.
federations. And
Correct. So those are the various aspects which are basically governed by the rules and regulations. So a number of them end up going to the courts as well. So even some basic disputes pertaining to elections, selections, and where arbitrary decisions have been taken, they end up getting challenged in the writ petitions in the high courts as well. But there are separate dispute resolution bodies within the national federation as well as the international federation which take care of this. So that is also an opportunity available for law students. So my advice to law students would generally be that, listen, if you want to do sports law, yes, there are certain sports law firms, so you can apply to them. But also a soft entry into sports sector is through NGOs. So there are a number of NGOs which are engaged in sports, like OGQ, like Go Sports, like Stairs, like Mittal Champion Trust, like JSW. So these are the things that come to top of my mind. But there are many more. Red Bus is there. So if you work in the sports sector, be it at the top level or at the grassroots level, you'll pick up a lot of experience and information, which will always benefit you even if you want to do a sports law career. The second is, even if you don't, and as I say, even though if you don't get a job straight into sports law, at least pick up industry knowledge through these NGOs. Even government hires a lot of people as interns. The National Anti-Doping Agency takes interns. The Niti Aayog takes interns, and they all have a sports department within it. So that is also a possibility. Sports Authority of India takes interns. So those are opportunities, also soft opportunities available. And then there is national sport federations, state federations, which all take interns.
Right. What I suggest to some of the students we know, and our students at least, that you go and volunteer for sporting events. So there's always some sporting event or the other happening.
Absolutely.
And a great idea to start is to get to know the people who are the managers of the sports. Like once you know the fraternity of people who are involved in the sports, you would get opportunities as a lawyer as well eventually.
Yes. So the sports sector is a sector which is very closed in the sense that everybody knows everybody, and is very difficult to break that glass ceiling. Mm-hmm. And that is something that we also faced when I started my career. And once you break it and when you start getting to know people, then they automatically the word spreads that this is somebody who does sports law, is interested, and there are opportunities then automatically become available. And that is even in the international front. So a lot of these international federations which are also looking out for interns, and they keep advertising it. Even so, that is also an opportunity that can be explored by law students and people even passing out. But again, breaking the glass ceiling is a very tough aspect. Yes.
Sure.